Hello everyone, and today we will be reviewing this LEGO Mayhem Robotics Season 2 bracket, and we will go quadrant by quadrant, and then we will start with Quadrant 1, and revealing the top overall seed, and then go to Quadrant 2, Quadrant 3, and so on, to finally Quadrant 4, and we will be revealing the top 4 seeds in each quadrant at the start of each quadrant, and then we'll be revealing the rest of that part of the quadrant. Let's go down to the first quadrant. And the number 1 overall seed is Fusion. Fusion is the number 1 overall seed. We saw them beat Siege Engine in the last fight of the regular season, and they get the top overall seed. And they battled Red Alert and beat them in basically dominant form. And then they took on Whiplash and beat them, and it was kind of close. Then they took on Shatter, and we know how that ended. Fusion just basically destroyed them. And then we saw Siege Engine, which was a very back and forth main event for the number 1 overall seed. Now let's go down to see who will be playing them in the play-in match and the rest of this quadrant. Looks like we see Cobalt and Splitshot in the play-in match. The winner of that fight will play Fusion in the start of the tournament. We will see that in the round of 32, the battle for the number 32 seed, which will be next video. And then we see other bots, including Barricade, Slammo as the 16 and 17 seed, and we see the last year's defending champ, Undertaker, playing Witch Doctor. That would be very interesting. And then we see Black Dragon and Beta. I start off with Cobalt and Splitshot. Cobalt has an up and down season. They are 2-2. And obviously, and Splitshot is also 2-2. That match will be, like I said, will be the next video. But the winner of that fight will have to play a tough bot in Fusion, which won 3-1 last season and a top seed this season. Cobalt, after the 10 seed last year, they go down to the 32 seed to play in the play-in match. That is not good for them, and they had to take on Splitshot in a fight to get into the tournament. And then we see Barricade and Slammo. Barricade has went 3-1 with his only loss to a Siege Engine, and Slammo with his only loss to Black Dragon. So they both lost the top seeds. Slammo lost to Black Dragon, which is a top seed. And then we see Undertaker and Witch Doctor. Undertaker went 3-1 with their only loss to Black Dragon, and had 3 pretty dominant wins over Bombshell, Mad Catter, and Sawblaze. And Witch Doctor had 2-2. Not very good for them after them being the 3rd overall seed last season. They beat Minotaur, lost to Mad Catter, and lost to Beta, and they beat one more bot. So they're looking at the number 25 seed, looking to get an upset against the defending champ, and send the defending champ home in the first round of the tournament. And then moving down to the last part of the quadrant, we see Black Dragon and Beta. Black Dragon had a pretty tough season. They went 3-1 also, with their only loss being the deadlift, which we will see what seed they get later in the bracket reveal. And then we see Beta being the lowest ranked 3-1 bot. They beat Witch Doctor, which they're one seed ahead, and they lost to Glitch, which now has a new redesign, which I will explain later. And they lost to, they beat Rotator, and then they lost to one more bot. I don't remember exactly who, but they were looking to beat Black Dragon and get the upset. But Black Dragon doesn't have a very reliable fork, so that should be pretty easy for them if they can manage that hammer. But Beta is also thinking about a new redesign for their bot. But Black Dragon is not. They're thinking to go to the next round, to the round of 16. So now let's go down to Quadrant 2. And the number 2 overall seed is Glitch. Glitch is the number 2 overall seed. They basically are going 4-0. They also have a brand new redesign. They have a completely new bot. They are now just black and a little bit of gray. They are a very different bot like you see in real life. They will be very interesting to see their new redesign once the tournament begins, and they'll find out who they play later in the video. Glitch beat Beta in dominant form in their first fight. Then they beat Blue Flame, what was pretty back and forth. Then they took down Bits in pretty dominant form, like they did Beta. And then they beat Splitshot, which we all know plays Cobalt for the number 32 seed. So now let's see who's in their quadrant and who they play as the number 31 seed. As the 2 seed, playing the 31 seed. It looks like the 2 seed Glitch drew Gigabyte to play them. Gigabyte went 2-2 this season. They lost to Barricade, beat Storm in their first match of the season, and beat some other bots and lost some other bots. I don't remember exactly who. But they are now playing Glitch in the first round of the tournament, which we will see when this episode comes out. And Gigabyte's going to have to spin up and get those stabilizers off of Glitch, because that's what they have now, which they had before. But now it's a big part of Glitch. And then now we move down to the bracket. We see the 3-1 Ice Wave taking on the 3-1 Riptide, 15 versus the 18 seed. Ice Wave is a 3-1, so is Riptide, as I said. Ice Wave lost to Titanic, which is their only loss, which we'll see if they get to the tournament later in the episode. And Riptide only loss is to Minotaur, which was a back and forth fight. Both of these bots are coming off of, I believe, wins. And so Ice Wave coming off an easy win against Gold Rush. Riptide coming off a pretty easy win against Shatter. Or Captain Shutterator, I don't remember who. They're both looking to get to the next round to play Glitch or Gigabyte. Then as we move down to the bracket, we see the Flipper King Thunderbolts from Ballistics Test Robotics. as a 7th seed. They went 3-1, lost to Siege Engine, as we all saw. It was kind of brutal for them. Then they won their next fight to a bot. I believe it was the Catapult. Yeah, they beat Catapult. Then they beat Claw Crusher, what was easy for them. Then they won a back and forth fight, kind of late in that fight. They won against Tungsten by getting on the screws and getting on their head, which was a great job by Thunderbolt to do that, taking control of that fight. Now that they fight in the first round, they fight Minotaur, which is a deadly machine from Brazil, which will be very interesting to see if Minotaur can get to the sides and get some damage. If they can damage that flipper or get that flipper gone, they're basically at free roam to get the upset. And then as we move down to the last part of this quadrant, we see Catapult and Devastation. I'm hoping that we see a Thunderbolt Catapult rematch, but we will have to see when the episode comes out if later in the tournament, in the round of 16, and Thunderbolt is going to have to get under Minotaur to even have a chance at that win and get a lot of flips, and then probably end it quickly so that Minotaur doesn't have enough time to get on the sides and get the win. Catapult plays at Devastation, which went 3-1, second lowest ranked, 3-1 bot. Minotaur is the second highest ranked 2-2 bot behind Witch Doctor, which they lost to earlier in the season during the fight cards. Devastation not had very good the best fight. They lost to Killer Bee, which is now 1-3, looking to get a win against Catapult. But Catapult has basically free roaming because Catapult is a flipper, so they can just flip them a ton of times to get the win. Let's move down to Quadrant 3 and reveal that part of the bracket now. And the number 3rd overall seed is, and the last 4-0 bot is Emulsion, and they are the last 4-0 bot. And they got the third seed because, obviously, Fusion and Glitch were also 4-0. And they got higher seeds. And the 4th and 5th seed are not 4-0. And so, in their first match of the season, they had to play Blackout, which they won, but it was very quick for them. They got under them and then flipped around the arena in one flip. And then they played Hyperdrive. It was a close and back and forth battle that they won by getting a flip like they did against Blackout. And then they played Blue Flame, which ended pretty quickly like Blackout. Then they played Captain Shredder in a rematch from last season, and they won in dominant form there. They don't let Captain Shredder get big shots like they did last season. And so they're coming off a great season, going 4-0. And they're looking to play some other great bots. Let's go down to see the rest of this quadrant. It looks like Emulsion gets the 30-seed Titanic in their first matchup, which is going to be very interesting. And then we see a Bombshell and Blackout in this quadrant. We could see a Blackout versus Emulsion rematch. Then we see Red Devil, Mad Catter. Red Devil plays Duck in a rematch from earlier this season when both bots, I believe it was the first main event of the 4th round of fight cards, and they all have a rematch this in the tournament. And then Mad Catter is playing Bronco, and we could also see a Red Devil versus Mad Catter rematch from last year's number 1 overall seed battle. And so let's start off with Emulsion and Titanic. Emulsion, as we know with it, they won against Blackout, Hyperdrive, Blue Flame, and Captain Shredder. And Titanic beat they beat Ice Wave in their first matchup, and then they pretty much won that fight pretty quickly. Then they lost to Twisted, which they kind of did not win that ground game there. And in their last match, they beat Killer B to go to 2-2. I don't remember who they fought in the third round of fight cards. But anyways, we're going to play the 3-seed Emulsion. Emulsion's going to have to, for them to win this fight, they're going to have to get under Titanic and end the fight quickly, because if Titanic's in the longer Titanic's in the arena, the less chance you have of winning, because Titanic has that dangerous vertical. And then as we move down the bracket, we see the 14-seed Bombshell taking on the 19-seed Blackout. Bombshell went 1-3 last season, and now this season they go 3-1 and get an automatic berth. And they got an automatic berth into this season's tournament. And they see Blackout taking them on. As we know, Blackout lost to Emulsion in their first fight. And so they're looking to get redemption and try to win that fight and get past Bombshell. And Bombshell, which had, I believe, went 2-0, and then they lost. Then they either lost their next match against Undertaker, or they lost in their last match. I don't remember. But that's okay. And then we see then Blackout is looking to get a win here. Blackout going to want the win. They're going to have to hope for that Bombshell to make some mistakes and get so they can have a chance. And Bombshell would win this fight. They're going to get over quickly and try to end it quickly. And then as we move down this bracket, this quadrant, we see a Red Devil and Duck. Red Devil is the number 6 seed. They lost to Witch Doctor this season, which was their only loss. They beat Duck earlier this season, obviously. They beat Free Shipping, and they beat One More Bot. And Duck went 2-2. They beat Tantrum. They lost to Red Devil, as we know. And then they played 2 other bots. I don't remember who they played. Oh, and they also beat Bite Force. Yeah. And now with the top 2 bots down in the quadrant, we see Mad Catter and Bronco. Mad Catter went 3-1 again this season. Their only loss was to Undertaker, the defending champ. And Bronco's only loss was to Bite Force. And they did not dominate in. And so Mad Cat are looking to get the win and get a rematch against Red Devil. And Bronco looking to prove itself, and because they didn't play very hard bots. Because basically none of their bots made the tournament. So let's see who wins these fights, obviously, when this episode comes out. And now let's go down to the final quadrant, in Quadrant 4. And the number 4th overall seed is... And the top 3-1 bot is... Siege Engine. Siege Engine gets the 4th overall seed, because they lost their only loss was to Fusion, which we all know was a back and forth fight. And they get the top 3-1 bot spot. And they fought Thunderbolt in their first fight, and they dominated quickly. They got under them and then put them in the screws, and then the screws did the rest of the work. And then they played a Sawblaze, which they won, and they broke Sawblaze's plow, which was very good by them. Then they beat Barricade, and splitting apart after that big spinner. And so now they are the 4th seed And look, and if they get semifinals, I believe they will have a chance to play Fusion in a rematch. If Fusion gets there too. Now let's go down to reveal the rest of the quadrant. Looks like Siege Engine in the first round will take on the 29 seed Whiplash, which went 2-2. Then we see the 13 seed Endgame, the 20 seed Deadlift, the 5 seed Red Alert, the 28 seed Tantrum, the 12 seed Copperhead, and the 21 seed Roadkill, the channel mascot. Which also is looking for a new redesign next season. Or if they don't win a tournament, if they don't win a fight in the tournament. Let's start with Siege Engine versus Whiplash. Whiplash went 2-2 this season with a loss to Barricade. Then they lost to Fusion. Then they beat Storm. Then they beat Uppercut. So they went 0-2. Then they had to go bounce back to go 2-2 against Storm and Uppercut to get into the tournament. And they got the number 29 seed. They took on Siege Engine, which will be a very interesting fight for Siege Engine because if Siege Engine makes mistakes, Whiplash is going to have an easy target and an easy opportunity to win. Siege Engine is going to have to get under them and end up quickly, and Whiplash could easily get a lift and get them out of the arena quickly. That fight could go either way. Then we see the winner of that fight play Endgame or Deadlift. Deadlift, as we saw in the fourth round of fight cards when they fought Roadhouser, they had a new redesign, and obviously they're using it here because they're a new bot, and they will play Endgame, which, testing them out, they are not very good against vertical spinners like Endgame, and so Endgame should be able to win that fight unless they make mistakes and leave that front or the sides open to Deadlift to get an easy lift. Endgame get it quickly if they just get under them and just hit them a bunch of times. That would be Endgame's chance to win. And then we see Red Alert and Tantrum. Red Alert, as we all know, they lost to Fusion in their first match of the season, and they are looking to obviously go far in the tournament, but then they went 3-1, so they literally beat 3 bots in a row like last season, and so they're looking to get, after last year's third place, they're looking to beat Tantrum and make the reliability come back to hang on Tantrum once again. And Tantrum had 0-2 also and had to come back to go 2-2 because they lost to Copperhead and Duck their first 2 matches. Then they had to beat Minotaur and one other bot to make it to the tournament, and now they're here. And they have to play Red Alert, which is a tough bot. That's their last year's third place. At the end of this quadrant, we could see Siege Engine Red Alert matchup. That will be very interesting if that it comes that way in the bracket, in the quadrant. Then in the last part of the bracket, we see Copperhead and Roadkill, the last 2 bots, not the last 2 bots, but the bots that made it in, 3-1 and 3-1, and Copperhead has been 3-1. Their only loss to Catapult in what was Catapult's dominating win. And then Roadkill went 3-1, lost to Scorpios, which is 2-2. They did not make the tournament, sadly, for Scorpios. And Roadkill made it. They see Copperhead in their line of sight, and Copperhead is going to have to get under the channel mascot and end the fight quickly, and Roadkill is going to have to get under them and get a couple flips to end the fight. That fight could also go either way. And Copperhead is hopefully going to do a great job, and Roadkill will be interesting to see. And the next time I see you, it will be the Quadrant 1 fights. See you in the next one. Bye.